The Cincinnati Bearcats now control their own destiny to play in a third straight New Year's Six Bowl, and we got action at the quarterback position.
Our Locked On Bearcats, your daily podcast on the Cincinnati Bearcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you so much for making Locked On Bearcats your first listen every day. We're free and available everywhere you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to our Locked On Bearcats YouTube channel. Follow it too to get an alert every time we drop a new episode. My name is Alex Frank, your host each and every day here on Locked On Bearcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Cincinnati, 23-3 winners over the Temple Owls today at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia in a game that I saw on Twitter was described as a closed scrimmage. But this game might have some huge ramifications going forward, most notably at the quarterback position. Ben Bryant gets hurt in the second quarter, leaves the game. Evan Prater takes over and performs pretty admirably. I think Evan Prater did enough today to be the starter next week. And I think he's going to start next week regardless. Because from what I read after the game, from what I heard after the game, and I'm not a doctor by any means. My dad's a foot doctor. But I think Ben Bryant's injury is not good. I don't know. But regardless, I think Evan Prater did enough today to be the starter. 12 of 17, 127 yards, 9 carries, 24 yards. And what I saw from Prater, 2 scoring drives, by the way. I think Evan Prater looked poised. I thought he showcased his athleticism. I thought he made some smart decisions. I thought he had some zing to his throws. There was one throw over the middle to either Tyler Scott or Jaden Thompson at the end of the first half that just looked like an incredible throw from a mature, really good quarterback. Offensive line didn't help him much. He was sacked 4 times, which is interesting because I've said this, Russ has said this, and, you know, when you have a quarterback like Evan Prater, that quarterback is designed to mask offensive line deficiencies. Well, when the Bearcats, Ben Bryant was in the game, he was only sacked once. Evan Prater was sacked 4 times. So I am going to put some onus on the offensive line. Now, there were some shufflings. Lorenz Metz left the game. I don't remember if he finished the game. So we'll check on his stats going forward. But all in all, I liked what I saw from Evan Prater today. This was his opportunity to shine. And he didn't do anything flashy outside of the touchdown that was called back to Ryan Montgomery, which, I mean, on the scoreboard, it's not going to show up. But on film, it will. And if Luke Fickell, Gino Guidugli, if they see, I mean, they have to see that and say, Ben Bryant gets sacked for 10 yards on that play. Prater threw a touchdown, and the only reason why it was called back was Ryan Montgomery stepped out of bounds, which that happens. But by golly, how can you not come away from this game and say to yourself, Ben Bryant's still our starter if healthy? How can you do that? Because when Ben Bryant was in the game today, and I feel bad for him in this injury, because even though I have been critical of him in the past few weeks, particularly since the ECU game, like, you do feel for him because he has put up with a lot this season. And recently from fans. And I get it. You're frustrated. And he wasn't great today. 9 of 18, 130 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he missed several throws. Several throws deep, several throws to the outside. His first two passes of the game batted down at the line of scrimmage. I mean, I don't know if Gino Guidugli, that first possession in the first quarter, when they called like 6 straight running plays in the red zone, I don't know if they didn't have confidence in Bryant. I don't know what it was, but I mean, the only pass they attempted was a shovel pass, and that's an easy pass to make. So that might tell you the confidence that Gino Guidugli now has in Ben Bryant. And I mean, like, Bryant's accuracy is now becoming an issue. I mean, they're solely dependent on the big play. I get it, the Bearcats are up 17-0 when he leaves. But let's be honest. There was only one big play that worked. And that was the touchdown to Trey Tucker. Now, Bryant's hit several of those big plays, and that's fine. But as I said last week, what happens when those go away? Because right now, I don't think there is this team's ability to sustain drives still. Now, with Prater, we look at the drives in this game, and I didn't even think about this when I was preparing the recap show. So, excuse me, Evan Prater's, the Bearcats' drives with Ben Bryant. First possession, 5:21. Second, 1:07. 1:08, that was the touchdown. 44 seconds, that was the touchdown to Ryan Montgomery off the fumble. And then 2:54 that ended in a field goal. With Prater, and then 1:08. With Prater, it was 2:09, 2:47, 37 yards, 3:27, 20 yards, 3:25, 23 yards, 5:29, 74 yards and a field goal, 4:39, and then 2:33. So the time of possession with Evan Prater when he was in the game was greater than when Ben Bryant was in the game. By the way, did you see how the offense was able to go more middle of the field with Ben Bryant in the game? Or I'm sorry, Evan Prater in the game? That to me says that this offense, it just looked more fluid. It just looked more cohesive. It just looked better. It just looked so much better than when Ben Bryant was in the game. And again, I feel bad for the kid. I really do. But at the end of the day, Evan Prater, I think, proved himself today. And this is the best case scenario, right? The Bearcats, I said, should start Evan Prater today. We knew that wasn't going to happen. But he plays 2.5 quarters. They win by 20. And, I mean, the way he played today, I think, should give you confidence. If he is starting next week against Tulane, Bearcats can go out there and win. I will make a bold claim right now. If the Bearcats start Evan Prater, I'm picking them to win. I think they win regardless. But if Evan Prater's playing, I'm not second-guessing myself. Evan Prater needs to play against Tulane. Start against Tulane. Not come in for 2 plays. Start. Because the running game, which we're going to get to in the next segment, looked much better today. Not great, but better. And you're just seeing defenses have to play differently than when Ben Bryant is in the game. Ben Bryant is a lame duck playing quarterback. I'm sorry. I think he's smart. I think he, has made a lot of big plays this season. He's given the Bearcats a chance to win every game. But I think the time, unfortunately, has come to make that move. You are now in championship mode. You win next Friday, you host the conference championship game. Maybe against a team that's not named Central Florida. Which it's going to be Central Florida, I think. But you are going to play potentially your next 2 games at Nippert Stadium. I said last week, start Evan Prater because then you wouldn't have to send him out there first time against Central Florida and Orlando. Now, you might get them at home. UCF isn't going to know how to defend them. They couldn't stop Navy today. Coming up, and by the way, real quick, and I know I'm late for a live read here. This is playing out just like 2019. Bryant is struggling. Then he gets hurt against Temple, right? Just like Desmond Ridder was struggling in 2019, he got hurt against Temple. Prater showed he can play. 2019, Ben Bryant makes the start of the next game. All right. The only difference is this next game is at home. Coming up, my other observations from the game, headlined by yet another great performance by the Bearcats defense. Why I wrote Temple defense in my notes, I don't know. It's Saturday. I'm ready to, whatever. So we'll get to that. First, after I tell you how Locked On Bearcats, this episode of Locked On Bearcats, is brought to you by Simply Safe. Did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally? That's why our friends at Simply Safe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. Order your Simply Safe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. Here's why I love Simply Safe. Because I feel extra supported by their team. Their advanced technology makes it easy to control from my phone with the Simply Safe security app, with the crystal clear HD live stream of your security cameras, the wide variety of high-tech sensors, or something else. When I was in New Orleans, for example, I felt safe with the app, the crystal clear live HD. When I'm in Clemson, whenever I'm in Charleston, when I'm back home in Ohio, anywhere. Did you know that Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News & World Report? That's a third year in a row. Simply Safe is whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and out, smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. With the top-rated Simply Safe app, stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere, arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your cameras, or adjust system settings. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system I recommend. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Thanks for making Locked On Bearcats your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. So, other things I liked from the game today. First off, the defense was dominant today. And I was a little nervous about them coming into the game today because Temple's quarterback, E.J. Warner, led the conference led the nation in passing yards in the month of November, 836. Well, today, the son of Kurt Warner, by the way, 21-36, 167 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, quarterback rating 86.2. By the way, Ben Bryant had a rating of 129. I don't know how that is. Temple was held to just 202 total yards, 1 trip to the red zone, 1 of 11 on third down, 35 rushing yards. The defense was only on the field for 23 minutes and 9 seconds, total 180 from last week. Just a fantastic performance by the defense. And here's the thing, right? I mean, this game was played in front of, the attendance was announced to like 14,000. Okay, woof. 3,000 I heard was in attendance today. 3,000. And I just thought about that when I heard it on the radio broadcast. I heard Dan and Jim talking about this. And I said to myself, how many fans were there when Notre Dame played them in 2015? They had a big game. College Game Day was there. I don't remember the exact attendance, but 3,000 for a game today? 3,000 in a 70,000 seat stadium. That's got to be hard to go out there and create your own energy. I thought the Bearcats really did a nice job at doing that today. I know they didn't score a touchdown beyond the second quarter, but daggone, their defense played well. And that's without Ivan and Deshawn Pace having big games. Then again, when you're only on the field for 23 minutes, big games aren't necessarily a requirement to winning by 20 points. Ryan Montgomery, really liked his performance today. Is he starting to increase his role? Well, season high in rushing yards, 58 will do that, 4.1 yards a carry. Corey Kiner, 36 yards. Ryan Montgomery also, I'm sorry, why did I even mention Corey Kiner? I'm talking about Ryan Montgomery. Ryan Montgomery added a 13-yard catch. Would have had a receiving touchdown had he not stepped out the back of the end zone. I'm not going to worry about that. That's okay. That happens. But for a running game that struggled mightily the past few weeks, good to see them get 131 yards on the ground today. Only 3 yards per rush. Am I worried about that? Yes. But when Evan Prater came into the game, you really saw them pick up the slack. I thought Montgomery on the touchdown drive, it was short, but after the fumble, he had 3 rushes on that drive, and I thought what he did really well was hit the hole and just went. Didn't think, right? We like that with our running backs. Just don't you don't have to be Le'Veon Bell. Just hit the hole and go. I thought Ryan Montgomery, particularly on the second touchdown drive following Corleone's fumble recovery, did a really nice job of doing that. A cover. Bearcats covered the spread. Breaking news. Favored by 17, 123-3. Can't beat that. But again, running game was solid. Defense stepped up. Evan Prater got in there. If the Bearcats' identity still wants to be running the football and defense, Evan Prater is your guy. I'm sorry. With Ben Bryant in the game, they are not a run-first team. I said it earlier this week, or last week. When you have a mobile quarterback, teams cannot load the box. I guarantee you, if Evan Prater starts against Tulane, you will be able to spread them out. Now, we're going to take a first look at Tulane on Tuesday, but I will tell you right now, I don't care if they scored 59 points on Tuesday or Thursday. They are beatable, right? They're beatable. Especially they're coming to Nippert Stadium. They're not used to playing in this kind of environment on the road in this kind of a game. I will guarantee you that. I think every big game that they've had that's been on national TV recently has been at home. Well, now they're going to come play on ABC Black Friday, Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati weather. Good luck. I'm not trying to be overconfident. I think it's going to be a competitive game. But I also know Bearcats have won 32 straight home games for a reason. Coming up, 3 stars of the game. Who to choose from the defense? We'll get into all of that after a word from Nissan. This episode of Locked On Bearcats is brought to you by Nissan. Our partners in Nissan have worked with us to create a new segment, excuse me, across the Locked On College Network titled Thrilling Moments, where we highlight the most exciting play from the Bearcats weekend game or throughout the history of our alma mater. And this week's thrilling moment from the Bearcats is actually coming from last year. So last year, this week, on Senior Day, Bearcats quarterback Desmond Ridder was the receiver. It was on the receiving end of a touchdown on a trick play that Bearcats radio analyst Jim Kelly dubbed the Chili Special. It was on the Bearcats Senior Day, Desmond Ridder's Senior Day. Bearcats blew out SMU 48-14. Desmond Ridder was sensational in that game, but it was his receiving touchdown on a trick play that is this week's thrilling moment, brought to you by Nissan. This segment has been inspired by the thrilling new designs across Nissan's new lineup of vehicles. Pursue what thrills you in the all-new Frontier, Armada, or Pathfinder today. Available now at nissanusa.com. All right, let's get into the 3 stars of the game here at Locked On Bearcats. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. First up, Josh Wiley. Really great to see him be a focal point of the game plan early and often. Got the offense going early. Yards after the catch was tremendous. Athleticism was shown. 7 catches, 70 yards, 62 coming after contact. 11 targets, 19 was his longest reception without Leonard Taylor. And maybe we'll talk about this later on this week. Maybe because the Bearcats have 2 great tight ends. When one's out, one gets, maybe it's they're able to get more out of the other. I don't know. We'll take a look at the film. That's on Wednesday. I'm going to go with Ty Van Fossen on defense. Here's a guy who's been here for a long time from the same high school as Luke Fickell. Today, tied for the team lead in tackles with 6. 2 pass breakups, and a forced fumble. Great to see him as a veteran leader, really stepped up today. I mean, this was a game when Ivan and Deshawn Pace had a combined 6 tackles. And, I mean, Ivan Pace only had 1 pass breakup. Deshawn didn't have any. Quiet day for them. Major credit to Ty Van Fossen for stepping up with those 6 tackles and 4 for loss. I didn't put him on the list and forced fumble, but Jaheim Thomas, 6 tackles, 2 of them for loss, really coming in, really starting to, carve out a nice role in this team after being kind of behind so many great linebackers that have come through UC since Jaheim Thomas started debuted in 2020, his first season. And then Ryan Montgomery took over a running game that was struggling coming in, but sort of breathed some life into it. Got it going, power rushing attack, 4.1 yards a catch. Just hits the hole and goes. That's what I want to see from my running backs. From these running backs. Just, hit the hole and go. Corey Kiner needs to start doing that. Same with Charles McClellan. But for a running game that's been stagnant of late, great to see Ryan Montgomery kind of pick it up a little bit. Maybe the Bearcats have found something. And I think, and I said this in the offseason, I wanted a dominant bell cow running back. I thought McClellan could be that. I think it's going to have to be by a committee approach. But if you start Evan Prater, hey, I mean, you've got essentially another running back on the field. And I will say Evan Prater, because being thrust into action in the manner in which he was, not afraid of the moment, demonstrated the ability to lead an offense. That's what I wanted to see, and he did. 12 of 17, 127 yards. I mean, again, was there anything flashy? Not really. But, I mean, the play that wasn't counted to Ryan Montgomery, that's making something out of nothing. That's what I want to see from a quarterback who plays for the Bearcats. And defenses aren't going to know what to do. Now, we're going to see how this unfolds next week, but I think there's going to be a change at quarterback next Sunday. And again, I do feel bad for Ben Bryant. I really do. You never want to see a player leave the game like that. But Evan Prater, if he starts, I'm going to feel really good about the Bearcats' chances to win next week against Tulane. Speaking of which, on Tuesday, I'm going to explain to you why more in depth Evan Prater should be the starter. Plus, we'll get a first look at the Green Wave. Wednesdays, our film review. How different did the offense look? Excuse me. With Ben Bryant and Evan Prater. Or versus Evan Prater, I should say. Thursday, Russ Heldman. Or potentially going down to New Orleans to talk with Tulane sideline reporter Matty Hudak. Fridays are game previews, so guests will be on at some point this week. But it's a short week. Second Friday game of the season. Very much looking forward to that. And it is the final regular season game. I mean, I was thinking about it. I feel like I did the first now just a day ago. Man, it's time flown by. But great win for the Bearcats today. Final road regular season game, because if the Bearcats win next week, they're hosting the championship game. If they lose next week, which I don't think they will, well, then the regular season's over. So they're not playing another road game as members of the American. It's been real. If you want more, follow me on Twitter at Frankie_Natty with 2 N's, NNATI. You can follow me on Instagram, AlexFrank9_, or email me at alex3frank@gmail.com. Locked On Bearcats is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen today. For your second listen today, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. For Locked On Bearcats, my name is Alex Frank. Have a great rest of your day. If you're traveling to be with your families, please stay safe, please stay healthy, and have a great Thanksgiving week. If you're going to the game on Friday, please stay safe and stay healthy. So you can keep making Locked On Bearcats your first listen of every day, and more importantly, so you can be with your family during this special time, Thanksgiving. Back on Tuesday with why Evan Prater should be the starter and our first look at the 9-2 Tulane Green Wave. This game will determine who hosts the American Championship game. It's a very similar situation to 2019, but I'm pretty confident it's going to play out the way you and me both want it to play out, or you and I both want it to play out. Sorry, to All my English teachers out there who just heard that, sorry. You deserve better. I have not done you justice. Thanks for making Locked On Bearcats your first listen every day. I'm Alex Frank for Locked On Bearcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.